I'm just trying to help you, sweetheart, my grandmother said across the Thanksgiving table, her voice dripping with concern that made my skin crawl. That's why I called your company. Someone had to tell them the truth about your situation. You weren't thinking clearly, and I had to protect you from yourself. The entire dining room went silent. 14 family members, mid-bite, frozen. My mother's fork clattered against her plate. My aunt's wine glass stopped halfway to her lips. Even my 5-year-old cousin stopped coloring. I set down my knife very carefully, looked directly at my grandmother sitting at the head of the table in my parents' home in Nashville, Tennessee, and said in a voice so calm it scared even me, "Grandma, you didn't call my company to help me. You called them to tell them I was mentally unstable and making poor decisions because you were furious I wouldn't give you access to my inheritance. And because of your call, I was put on administrative leave, investigated by HR, and nearly lost my career. So let me be very clear, you didn't protect me from myself. You tried to destroy me because I said no to you. And everyone at this table is about to learn exactly what kind of help you've been giving me for the past 2 years." The silence that followed wasn't just quiet. It was the kind of silence that happens when a truth bomb detonates and everyone's still processing the blast radius. My name is Sarah Sinclair, and if you're watching this, stay with me. Because the grandmother who raised me, who I trusted more than anyone, who everyone thought was a sweet old lady just looking out for her granddaughter, had been systematically sabotaging my life for 2 years. And I'd been documenting every single incident. Let me take you back to where this started. 2 years ago, when I was 28, my paternal grandfather passed away. He left me $380,000 in his will. Not my parents. Not my siblings. Not my grandmother, his widow, who'd been married to him for 47 years. Just me. His favorite grandchild. The one who'd spent every summer with him, who'd learned woodworking in his garage, who'd listened to his stories about building his construction business from nothing. The will was specific: to my granddaughter Sarah Sinclair, I leave $380,000 to be used at her discretion, trusting her judgment completely. She is the only one in this family with the sense and integrity to use it wisely. That last sentence destroyed my grandmother. Not the money itself, but the implication. That he trusted me more than her. That he saw something in me he didn't see in his own wife. That his final act was to essentially say, "Sarah gets it. The rest of you don't." At the funeral, Grandma Rose had pulled me aside. "Sweetheart, your grandfather wasn't in his right mind at the end. That will, it's not fair to you. All that responsibility, all that money. Why don't you let me help you manage it? We can set up a trust, and I'll make sure it's invested properly. You're so young, you shouldn't have to handle this alone." I declined politely. "Grandma, I appreciate it, but I'm a financial analyst. I literally manage investments for a living. I'll be fine." Her smile had frozen. Just for a second. But I'd seen it. The flash of anger before she smoothed it away. "Of course, dear. But if you need anything at all, you know where I am." I should have known then. Should have recognized the warning sign. But she was my grandmother. The woman who'd baked me cookies, who'd braided my hair, who'd taught me to garden. I couldn't imagine she'd ever hurt me. Over the next 6 months, strange things started happening. My car was keyed in my apartment parking lot in Nashville. Someone reported me to my landlord for late-night parties I never had. My credit card was declined at a restaurant because someone had reported it stolen. It hadn't been. My mail started going missing. Small things. Annoying things. Things I'd chalked up to bad luck or city living. Until my grandmother started showing up. "I was in the neighborhood. I brought you some soup. I wanted to check on you." Always with that same concerned expression. Always asking about my money. "Have you invested it yet? Are you being smart with it? You know, dear, at your age, it's easy to make mistakes." Then came the big incidents. 8 months after Grandpa's death, I was up for a promotion at Meridian Financial, the investment firm where I'd worked for 4 years. I'd been told by my manager, Kenneth, that I was the top candidate. The job was mine. Until suddenly, it wasn't. Kenneth had called me into his office looking uncomfortable. "Sarah, I need to ask you something. Is everything okay? At home, I mean. Personally?" "Yes." "Why?" "We received a call. From someone claiming to be your grandmother. She said you'd been acting erratically, making impulsive financial decisions, and she was worried about your mental state. She suggested we should be keeping an eye on you for signs of instability." My blood had run cold. She said what? "Sarah, I'm not saying I believe it. But HR requires us to follow up on concerns about employee wellness. So I have to ask, are you struggling with anything? Mental health issues, substance abuse, anything that might affect your judgment?" "No. Kenneth, I'm completely fine. My grandmother, she's upset because my grandfather left me money and she thinks she should control it. This is retaliation because I won't give her access to my inheritance." He'd looked relieved but still cautious. "Okay. I believe you. But Sarah, I have to document this conversation. And the promotion. HR wants to wait. Make sure there are no legitimate concerns." "I'm sorry. Give it a few months, let this blow over, and we'll revisit." I'd lost that promotion because my grandmother had called my employer and lied about my mental health. I'd been so shocked, so hurt, I'd barely known how to process it. When I'd called her, she'd acted confused. "Oh sweetheart, I was just worried. You haven't been returning my calls, and I thought maybe you were overwhelmed." I was trying to help. "Grandma, you told my boss I was mentally unstable. I lost a promotion." "That's not what I said. They must have misunderstood." "Sarah, you're being very sensitive about this. I'm just trying to look out for you." Gaslighting. Classic, textbook gaslighting. Making me question my own perception, my own reality. And when I'd told my parents, they'd sided with her. "Sarah, she's 73 years old. She's just worried about you. You know how she gets. Can't you just humor her? Let her help with the money if it'll make her feel better. It's my inheritance. Grandpa left it to me. And you're being selfish about it," my mother had said. "It's family money. You should share it. That's what family does." But I hadn't shared it. I'd invested it carefully, bought a small condo, started a retirement account. I'd used it exactly as Grandpa had intended, wisely, independently, without asking permission from anyone. And that had made Grandma Rose furious. The incidents escalated. Someone filed a false police report claiming I'd been driving recklessly through my grandmother's neighborhood. I hadn't been anywhere near her house. Someone contacted my HOA claiming I was running an illegal business from my condo. I wasn't. Someone called Adult Protective Services claiming I was financially exploiting my grandmother. The investigation was closed immediately when they found zero evidence, but the accusation alone was humiliating. And through it all, Grandma Rose played the concerned matriarch. Calling my parents with worries about me. Telling extended family I was going through something. Showing up at family events with sad sighs and comments like, "I just wish Sarah would let me help her. She's so stubborn. I don't know where she gets it." Everyone believed her. Because she was Grandma Rose. Sweet, elderly, wouldn't hurt a fly Grandma Rose. And I was the ungrateful granddaughter who'd inherited money that should have been hers and was now acting strange. But I'd started documenting everything. Every incident, every conversation, every time she showed up uninvited. I'd installed security cameras at my condo. I'd started recording our phone calls, legal in Tennessee with one-party consent. I'd kept every text message, every voicemail, every piece of evidence that showed a pattern of harassment and sabotage. And when she called my company the second time, claiming I'd threatened her and was dangerous, I'd had enough. I'd hired an attorney, Judith Morales, who specialized in elder law and family disputes. We'd compiled everything into a cease and desist letter with an ultimatum: stop the harassment, or face a restraining order and a civil suit for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Grandma Rose had responded by calling my mother, crying, claiming I was attacking her. My mother had called me, furious. "Sarah, how could you? She's your grandmother. She's just trying to help you, and you're threatening her with lawyers? What's wrong with you? Mom, she's been sabotaging me for 2 years. She's called my job twice, filed false reports, spread lies about me, all because I won't give her access to Grandpa's money. That's ridiculous. She wouldn't do that. Sarah, I think you need to see someone. A therapist. You're paranoid." And there it was. My own mother, telling me I was crazy, that I needed therapy, that my perception of being systematically harassed by my grandmother was a delusion. It was exactly what Grandma Rose wanted. To isolate me. To make everyone think I was unstable. To justify taking control of my money for my own good. That's when I'd stopped trying to convince them. I just waited. Documented. Prepared. Because I knew the opportunity would come. The moment when Grandma Rose would overplay her hand, when she'd say something in front of everyone that I could use to expose the truth. And at Thanksgiving dinner, sitting at that table surrounded by family who'd spent 2 years believing her lies, she'd given me exactly what I needed. The silence stretched. My grandmother's face had gone pale, then red. My mother stood up. "Sarah, that's enough. You're being disrespectful. Apologize to your grandmother right now." "No," I said calmly. "I won't. Because everything I just said is true, and I can prove it." I pulled out my phone, opened a folder, and held it up so everyone could see. This is a timeline. Every incident over the past 2 years. Grandma called my employer in March 2023 claiming I was mentally unstable. Here's the HR report from my company. She called again in August 2024 claiming I'd threatened her. Here's that report too. She filed a false police report about reckless driving. Here's the police report showing it was investigated and dismissed. She called Adult Protective Services claiming I was exploiting her financially. Here's the case number and closure notice showing no evidence of abuse. I scrolled through screenshots, documents, recordings. She's shown up at my home uninvited 17 times in 2 years. I have security footage of every visit. She's called me 243 times. I have phone records. She's sent 407 text messages, many of them demanding access to my inheritance, threatening to tell people the truth about me if I didn't comply. I have screenshots of all of them. My Aunt Jessica spoke up, her voice uncertain. "Sarah, why would she do that? That doesn't make sense." "Because Grandpa left me $380,000 in his will. And in that will, he specifically said he trusted my judgment more than anyone else in this family. Grandma has spent 2 years trying to prove him wrong. Trying to prove I'm incompetent, unstable, irresponsible, anything that would justify taking control of that money. And when I refused to hand it over, she started a campaign to destroy my credibility, my career, and my reputation." I looked directly at my grandmother. "You didn't call my company to help me. You called them hoping they'd fire me, hoping I'd become desperate enough to ask you for help. You wanted me to fail so you could swoop in as the savior, take control of the money, and prove to everyone that Grandpa was wrong to trust me." Grandma Rose's voice shook. "That's not true. I was worried about you. You've been acting strange, pushing family away. I have recordings, Grandma. Of you admitting it." The room went even quieter, if that was possible. I played an audio file from 2 months ago. My grandmother's voice, clear and angry. "You think you're so smart, Sarah? You think that money makes you better than the rest of us? Your grandfather was senile when he wrote that will. That money should be mine. I earned it, living with that stubborn man for 47 years. And I'll make sure everyone knows you're not capable of handling it. I'll make sure they all see what a selfish, ungrateful brat you really are." The audio cut off. My grandmother was staring at me, her face a mask of fury and humiliation. My mother had tears streaming down her face. My father looked like he'd been slapped. My siblings sat frozen. I gave you chances, I said quietly. I asked you to stop. I tried to explain that the money was mine, that Grandpa wanted me to have it, that I was handling it responsibly. But you couldn't accept that. You couldn't accept that he chose me. So you tried to destroy me. My Uncle David, my father's brother, spoke up. Rose, is this true? Did you really do all this? My grandmother's composure cracked. She took what should have been mine. That money, that house, everything your father built, it should have gone to me. But no, he left it all to his precious Sarah, his favorite, the one who could do no wrong. She doesn't deserve it. She's 28 years old, what does she know about real sacrifice, real marriage, real life? I gave your father everything, and this is how he repaid me. There it was. The truth, raw and ugly, spilling out in front of everyone. Not concern for my well-being. Not grandmotherly love. Just rage that she hadn't gotten what she felt entitled to. My father stood up, his voice shaking. Mom, Sarah is your granddaughter. You tried to ruin her career. Her life. Over money? It's not about the money. Grandma Rose shouted. It's about respect. It's about what's right. He chose her over me, his own wife. He said she had more integrity than I did. How dare he? How dare she accept it? He left it to me because he knew exactly what you'd do with it, I said, standing up now too. He knew you'd spend it proving you were right about something, anything. He knew you'd use it to control people, to buy loyalty, to fund your version of family where everyone does what you say or gets cut off. He left it to me because I was the only one who didn't need anything from him. I just loved him. And that's what you can't forgive. My grandmother stood up, grabbed her purse, and looked around the table at her family. You all believe her? You believe this ungrateful child over me? Fine. Fine. You're all cut from my will. Every single one of you. Except Sarah, who doesn't need it anyway. She stormed out. The front door slammed. And the room erupted in chaos. My mother was crying. My aunt was yelling. My uncle was trying to calm everyone down. My siblings were staring at me like I'd just detonated a bomb, which, I suppose, I had. My father sat down heavily, put his head in his hands. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't believe you. God, I told you that you needed therapy. I know, I said simply. But now you know the truth. Over the next few days, the family fractured. My parents called to apologize, multiple times, both of them crying, both of them asking how they could have been so blind. My siblings reached out, some apologetic, some defensive, all of them processing that their grandmother wasn't who they'd thought she was. Extended family took sides. Some believed my grandmother's version, that I'd manipulated the recording somehow, that I was lying. Others believed me and cut contact with her. The family text chain imploded into arguments and accusations. And Grandma Rose? She hired a lawyer and tried to contest Grandpa's will, claiming he'd been unduly influenced or mentally incompetent. It went nowhere. The will was ironclad, witnessed by 3 people, and Grandpa had been evaluated by his doctor a month before he died, completely lucid, completely competent. She tried to sue me for defamation. That was dismissed immediately when my attorney produced the recordings and documentation. She tried to file for a restraining order against me, claiming I was harassing her. That was also dismissed when the judge reviewed the evidence showing she'd been the one doing the harassing. Finally, 3 months after Thanksgiving, I received a letter from her attorney. She was dropping all legal action and agreeing to a mutual no-contact arrangement. She wouldn't contact me, I wouldn't contact her, and we'd both move on with our lives. I signed it. Not because I forgave her, but because I was done. Done fighting, done defending myself, done trying to make people believe me. The truth was out. Everyone who mattered knew what she'd done. And I could finally live my life without looking over my shoulder. 6 months later, I got the promotion I'd been denied. My manager Kenneth called me into his office. "Sarah, I owe you an apology. We should have investigated your grandmother's claims more thoroughly instead of just taking them at face value. That was wrong. And I want to make it right. The senior analyst position is yours, if you still want it. Plus a salary adjustment to account for the time you should have already been in this role." I took it. Not just the promotion, but the validation. The acknowledgement that I'd been telling the truth, that I'd been wronged, that I deserved better. I bought a house. A real house, not a condo, with the inheritance money. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a 2-car garage. I furnished it exactly how I wanted. I planted a garden in the back, remembering the summers I'd spent gardening with Grandma before everything went wrong. I didn't invite her to the housewarming. But I did invite my parents, my siblings, my Uncle David and Aunt Jessica, the ones who'd apologized, who'd believed me, who'd tried to make amends. We sat in my backyard, grilled burgers, drank wine, and talked about everything except her. My mother pulled me aside at one point. "Sarah, I need to say this again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have believed you. I was so used to thinking of Mom as harmless that I couldn't see what she was doing. And you paid the price for my blindness. I know, Mom. And I forgive you. But it took me a long time to get here. And I need you to understand, if anything like this ever happens again, if anyone in this family tries to gaslight me or dismiss what I'm experiencing, I'm gone. I won't fight for people who won't fight for me. I understand. And Sarah? Your grandfather was right. You do have more integrity than most people. Certainly more than I gave you credit for." That night, after everyone left, I sat on my back porch and thought about Grandpa. About the inheritance he'd left me, not just the money, but the lesson: trust yourself, even when no one else does. Protect yourself, even from family. Build a life that doesn't require anyone else's approval or permission. He'd known. Somehow, he'd known his wife would try to destroy me if he left me that money. And he'd left it to me anyway, because he trusted I could handle it. Handle the money, handle her, handle the fallout. He'd believed in me when he knew no one else would. And he'd been right. My name is Sarah Sinclair. My grandmother spent 2 years sabotaging my life because I wouldn't give her access to my inheritance. She called my employer, filed false reports, spread lies about my mental health, and convinced half my family I was unstable. And when she finally overplayed her hand at Thanksgiving dinner, I exposed everything with recordings, documents, and the truth she couldn't spin or deny. She thought she was helping herself by destroying me. Instead, she destroyed her own reputation and lost her family's trust. And I walked away with my inheritance intact, my career recovered, and the freedom that comes from knowing I was right all along, even when everyone told me I was wrong. The family matriarch tried to take everything from me. Instead, she taught me the most valuable lesson: sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones you need to protect yourself from the hardest. And having evidence isn't paranoid. It's survival.